We've got another Game 7 coming. I'm going to preview that game, plus Denver and the LA Clippers. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today we do have two games to talk about for Friday. We're looking at the potential Classic Game 7 after a legitimate Classic Game 6 between the Raptors and the Celtics. And then of course, we're looking to see whether the Clippers in Game 5 can close out the Denver Nuggets. Let's start with that Clippers and Nuggets game. It is the first game on for Friday. The Clippers are 8-point favorites. The total 216.5. The series is 3-1 at the moment, tilted towards the Clippers. It's not like the Nuggets outside of Game 1 haven't been in the last couple of games, though, so they give themselves a bit of hope, especially after coming down from 3-1 in the first round against the Jazz. I don't really think doing that against the Clippers is going to be all that easy. But there is still, I guess, some belief there, and they have been relatively close. And you could make the argument they probably should have won Game 4, and even Game 3 they had those opportunities. So there is some hope there, I guess, for Denver and the Clippers. Let's look at it from a DraftKings point of view here. Patrick Beverley still priced really low, 3,800. Now, he's not doing anything, and he is still on a minutes limit, just 14 points in Game 4. But at 3,800, if he gets 20 points, I think it's worth it because you're going to have these other high-priced players like Tatum and like Kawhi especially and like Jokic throughout this two-game slate that you're going to want to find some value there, and the value could be in Patrick Beverley. The headmaster, Jamal Murray, 8,500. He's just not giving us that level at this point. We're seeing Paul George play a really strong role on him defensively. They can switch Kawhi, they can put Patrick Beverley. So he's not getting the looks that he would have gotten or that he did get in that Utah series, averaging just 34 over the last 5 games. Still playing a lot of minutes, but at 8,500, I don't super love it, while Lou Williams at 5,800. The minutes are coming up for Lou, but he is also not producing as we would hope, so I don't really like that one. Monty Morris, Landry Shamet. Shamet took Reggie Jackson out of the rotation last game. Played 25 minutes, had 17 points, but I don't think that is something that we should be investing heavily in. For your shooting guard, Paul George at 8,400, just an absolute turd last game, 19 points in 27 minutes. If the game's closer, he should do better. And he'd been producing at a pretty high level prior to that Game 4, but that's obviously a real kick in the nuts to see him produce under 20 points. That's not what you need from a guy costing almost 8,500 in salary. I still think he's worth a look, but probably not the core guy you want to look at, while Gaz Harris is a long way down the salary food chain.
Nice, Gary!
Gaz is at 46. I don't mind his floor of a 23-24 pointer. I think his upside is probably a little bit limited, but I don't think it's completely outrageous to think that Gaz could have a 30-pointer, so I don't mind using him, while Torrey Craig just doesn't produce anything from a fantasy points perspective. At small forward, Jeremy Grant's at 4,900. He somehow finds a way to do less every game. 7 points in 34 minutes. This doesn't take away from defensive efforts, but he just is not producing anything offensively, and I want nothing to do with it. While Marcus Morris at 4,800, I think he's really an interesting GPP player. Still can't get anything going. Like, he's shooting good percentages, but as he should, his usage is low because there are better players out there. But I still think that there will be a game where we get 30 points out of Marcus. I wouldn't want to trust it for cash because he's giving you like 17 points a game over the last 3, and that's not really enough at 4,800. But there is still some upside at that price. The fun guy, Kawhi Leonard.
I'm a fun guy.
He's at 10-4. Absolutely no worries. I absolutely love that for Kawhi. Another 71 last game. He has been probably the best player in these entire playoffs. Continues to put up big games almost every single night. While Michael Porter played a lot of minutes, 34 minutes, had 28 points. They didn't give him the ball, but he still had those 28 points. I think at 5,200 there is tournament upside, but I don't trust what his role is going to be. Will it be 17 minutes? Will it be 25 minutes? Will he get 20 touches? Will he get 4 touches? It's really all up in the air with Porter, and some of his comments after the game, again, are always questionable. This bloke just seems like a guy that has some questionable thought processes on quite a lot of things. And that is a little bit worrisome as to how he fits on a team with a level of entitlement that maybe he hasn't earned at this point. So when we're talking DFS, maybe he's a GPP guy. At center, Ivica Zubac's $5,000. He played 30 minutes, which was exactly the right amount of minutes he needed to play. He only had 26 points, but at $5,000, that's okay. Now, do I trust Doc Rivers to play Zubats at 30 minutes a game? Of course not. There is no reason to believe that because Doc has never done it in the past. So I don't think we look to that and expect that to be the norm. Big Chungus, Nikola Jokic at $10,000. He's clearly the Nuggets' best player. He's averaging 58 in the last 3. He should be a 50-point guy. So there's a way to get Kawhi and Jokic into a lineup. I think that's obviously looking really good. But you have to find those cheap guys around it, and that's why Patrick Beverley has just that level of appeal that he does. The table, Montrezl Harrell at 4,300, maybe. Very few people will be rostering him. He's doing absolutely nothing, and he's continually doing nothing. He gets 17 points in 18 minutes, which is not enough at 4,300. Maybe he has a big game. Doesn't look like it, but maybe. So that's a tournament only. While Millsap was playing like high 20s, then played 14 minutes last game. So I don't trust him, nor JaMychal Green, and nor do I trust Mason Plumlee. I do trust DoorDash, though, to get me the food that I want delivered straight to my door when I'm busy doing other things, helping kids with homework, working from home, cleaning the house, doing whatever it is I need to do. Hey, just being stressed out because it is a stressful time for everybody. Whatever you want, DoorDash can bring your favorite restaurants straight to your door. Just open the app, open DoorDash, choose what you want, select the contactless delivery setting, and there you go. Bang. Your order is going to be sitting right at your doorstep. There's over 300,000 partners for DoorDash in the US, Puerto Rico, Canada, and Australia. Local restaurants or the big national restaurants like Chipotle, Wendy's, and the Cheesecake Factory. DoorDash deliveries are now contactless to keep the communities that they operate in safe. And right now, listeners can get $5 off and 0 delivery fees off their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter the code LOCKEDONNBA. That's $5 off your first order, 0 delivery fees when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter the code LOCKEDONNBA. Don't forget the code is LOCKEDONNBA for $5 off your first order with DoorDash. For that Clippers-Nuggets game, if we're looking at it on a FanDuel point of view, Zubats at 47 has a lot more appeal over there. Paul George at 77 as well, while the Headmasters 8,200, Jamal Murray, really just tournaments. Love Jokic at 99, less interested in Kawhi at 11,000. That's okay, but yeah, 11,000 for Kawhi or 99 for Big Chungus. I think I'll take Jokic out of those two there. 51 for Marcus Morris, the same sort of story. We sit with him that we do on DraftKings, and same with Michael Porter at 5,200. The next game is the real classic that we're waiting for. The Raptors, the Celtics. What an unbelievable double overtime game last time out. Kyle Lowry continues to have nuts the size of I don't even know what he has been. He has been unbelievable. He is the absolute heart and soul of this team and this franchise. And push them to a Game 7 against the Celtics. Now, the Celtics are 2.5-point favorites here. The total is a measly 203.5. Of course, if it goes to overtime, that'll get beaten. But there is some interesting plays that we look at here. And we start with Lowry himself, 8,600. He had 61 points in 53 minutes in Game 6. He is good for 40 almost every night. He should be a 45-point guy most nights. I really like what he's doing. He's consistently putting up good numbers. Kemba Walker at 7,700, not so much. Just 20 points in 52 minutes in Game 6. Just no shot attempts for him at all. The reliability level is not quite there as it is for Lowry, so I'll take Lowry. While Marcus Smart had a whopping 60 as well in Game 6. 6,800 for Smart. That's a lot of money for Marcus Smart, who is more of a tournament guy than anything else. Van Vliet's at 7,900, 51 for him. He's a strong 38 to 45-point guy, which at 7,900, I'll take that over the 77 for Kemba and feel pretty good about it, while Wanamaker's getting some minutes, but not really big production. Although, in saying that, he's at 3,300, Brady. If he gets 17 points, I don't hate it, enabling you to get some higher price guys in. I don't think it's necessarily the way to go, but he's getting all the minutes out of the bench guys pretty much. Shooting guard, Norm Powell, a lot of minutes as the Raptors went without a center for most of Game 6. 38 minutes, 34 points. Now, he'd been absolutely shitful up until that game, so it's a little hard to rely upon him. But at 4,400, maybe he gets 26 or 27. It's at least worth considering. Jaylen Brown is all the way up at 8,000 because he took every shot in the world for the Celtics in Game 6, had 60 points, but he took a lot of shots. Now, do I trust that to go again? Maybe not for 8,000. I'm not completely sold on him there. At small forward, Tatum's at 95. That is an absolute banger to me. 50 points should be a minimum for Tates. So I like him at that 9,500 price tag. Really, really looks good to me. While the Jedi, OG Anunoby, the Scarf Master.
But what about scarves?
OG.
Balenciaga
Stop,
ones.
OG. You better stop, OG.
Hello there.
He is at 5,900. He had 33, but it took double overtime to get there. Love him as a player. Not as sold on him as a DFS contributor. Grant Williams, no thanks. At power forward, Pascal Siakam continues to be not good. I think that's fair. 7,800 for Siakam, 34 average over the last 5 games. It's not enough. If he was at 7,000, I'd be in on it. And the potential's still there. So he's still that GPP guy. But how many games in a row can this dude just underperform what the salary is suggesting? I'm not saying he's been bad. I'm also not saying he's been good because he hasn't been for the Raptors, but he hasn't been terrible. But he's not anywhere close to living up to this salary, so that is hard to utilize him. Vanilla Tice at 5,600. That's a good cash play with limited tournament upside. While Ibaka continues to outplay Marc Gasol. Is Marc Gasol just washed?
You're just mad because your ass is old.
4,100 for Gasol, not really doing anything, while Ibaka's at 54, not quite at the level that he needs to be, maybe for tournaments for Surge, and the Rock DJ Robbie Williams just not playing enough for us to get overly excited about. Built Bar is back though, and they are back with great new flavors, 6 new flavors to add to their original 12 flavors. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. It is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. New flavors, caramel brownie, cookies and cream, cherry barcia, lemon almond cheesecake, carrot cake, and apple almond crisp are the 6 newies to go along with the 12 original flavors. All of these bars are covered in 100% chocolate and they are soft and easy to chew. Great if you're looking to lose or maintain weight because they're high protein and low calorie and low carb. The peanut butter bar, 19 grams of protein, 180 calories, and just 5 grams of sugar, same as cookies and cream. Low calories, low sugar, high protein. 130 calories, 17 grams of protein, and 4 grams of sugar. And if you go to builtbar.com, you can use the promo code LOCKEDON and you get $10 off your next order. Buy a box of protein bars. You won't regret it. They taste amazing. So use that promo code LOCKEDON for $10 off at builtbar.com. So if we look at that Boston and Toronto game, on FanDuel, Marcus Smart's at 64, still that tournament upside, while Siakam at 8,000, I don't trust it. Like Tice, like Lowry at 89, and Van Vliet at 79 in particular. And I think Jaylen Brown looks pretty good on FanDuel at 7,800 and Tatum at 96. So very, very similar pricing on FanDuel for this game. Now, if I'm going to give picks for these games, which I haven't done in most of these shows, but I thought I'd do it today. I think the Clippers can close it out against the Nuggets. So they get the 4-1 victory there. And the Game 7, I originally picked Toronto in 7. We are at Game 7. I'm not going to stray away from that. So let's go with the Raptors here in Game 7 to knock off the Celtics and advance to take on the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. Other news, just to quickly before we go here, the news of the NBA draft being pushed back to November 18th, and then free agency will follow that, and the NBA season won't begin until Christmas at the earliest. I imagine they start pretty much on Christmas. But we don't have confirmation of that. But the draft pushed back to November 18th. I'll be doing way more draft content, of course, as we push closer to that. Free agency content. And I'm probably going to do a bit more dynasty content. And I'm also open to whatever else you guys want. Let me know and we'll get some other stuff cracking out there. That'll do it for me today. Go and subscribe. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on YouTube. Check out Instagram too. I'm trying to throw some clips up on the Instagram story. So go and view those. Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Tell me what you think over there as well, and interact with me on Twitter. Call me a dickhead, agree with what I say, I don't care. Just go out there and talk to me over on Twitter at redrock_bball. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.